This conference will now be recorded.
Okay.
All right, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We're about to begin our meeting. We'll be having the volunteers of the prayer.
Dear Lord, we come to you this day and we thank you for all the many blessings you've already blessed us with. And Lord, please continue to look after us, especially today as we go through the county's business to do in your name for the betterment of the citizens of Dewey County. We ask all this in your most precious name. Amen.
Amen. Let's all stand and join in the pledge of allegiance. I
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. We have before you a proposed agenda. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to add some items. Do y'all have the agenda attached to? Yes. Let's go through it right quick. Got an update from ACCG about the DFAC's budget deficit at state level. The ACCG annual conference, we've gotten a grant to update our hazard mitigation plan. Need to get the authority to get a credit card from Miss Danny, and we already got an executive session on the agenda. So.
Okay.
David?
No, sir.
Dave? Tony?
Good. I move, Mr. Chairman, that we approve this agenda.
That's second.
There's been a motion and second. All in favor by the show of hands, and that motion carries. All minutes or email to us. What's the pleasure of the board?
I'm going to read about minutes as recorded. Second.
There's a motion and second. Do we have any discussion on the whole minute before we vote again? If not, all in favor by the show of hands, and that motion carries. Mr. Stevens on the line.
All right, sir.
Otherwise, it would be as bad as on you now.
That's right. That's right. Okay, item number 2, you should have a copy of the finance report for the month of January. Take it, look at it, any questions, we'll try to answer them, and we may try to go over it briefly at the end of the meeting, depends on how things go. Item number 3, the proposed abandonment of Groves Landing. We got a public hearing scheduled at 9:30, so we'll circle back around to that at the proper time. Vacancy on the Board of Health. I'm currently got a person interested. We're not quite yet ready to announce that, so hopefully I'll have something at the next meeting for y'all on that. This has been on the agenda, and it's gonna stay on the agenda until we get it worked out. Out at the Business Development Center out next to House of Rayford, the Chris Dooley Joint Development Authority owns the building. USDA's Farm Service Center is located there. Dooley County is leasing the space for the FSA office and NRCS office from the Chris Dooley Joint Development Authority, and then USDA is paying us rent for that space. Our lease agreement with USDA expires at the end of this year, and they're wanting to negotiate another renewal of it, so we're in the process of trying to negotiate it. We're currently, the rent that we're paying Chris Dooley Joint Development Authority is a little bit higher than what we're getting from USDA now, so naturally we we don't want to make money on it, but we don't be losing money on it at the same time, because all we're doing, in my mind, we're just providing office space to a federal government office, the FSA office and the NRCS office. I'll keep y'all informed as that process progresses. Chicken houses, zoning setbacks. I was unable to make the meeting where y'all met with the planning commission, talk about that. Do y'all want to have any other discussion about that today?
I'd like to ask from the meeting, where was it
in.
Where was it left, and are we okay with zoning via variances? Because that's the way it's set up now, that's the way it intends to be. And I don't know, are we, the variances that we issue, is that a correct amount? Do other counties variance all of their zoning? I mean,
Let me see if I can wrap my head around what happened at the meeting, because I was briefed on it by Glenn and by Mac Jordan. So I've kind of got two views on it. I was not there.
we,
Okay. And the issue of you need a variance in a zoning in zoning, so that there is some discretionary function of government when you have this, so that you don't end up in Superior Court on every time someone makes an application. Where this has gone off the guardrails, I think, is we are now using, as your term, I think, and that's a very apt way, we're zoning by variance. In other words, we're going to use the variance versus changing it's being pushed perhaps too far for particular applicants. That may be a perception that may have some reality to it. I'm trying to be nice about this, but basically, this board, if you're concerned about about what the subservient board is doing, and moving it right to the property line and all that, you can adjust what those variances, how far they can vary. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah, and instead of it just being unlimited, you can have, within a range, you could have, this shall be no less than, but you can, or if there's a variance, but then you create an avenue for everyone to just say, well, I'm going to just push it to that. So you're doing then what they did. I think the bigger issue here is, why do you have the rule to begin with? And the rule is consumer confidence, property protection, consumer protection, if you want to move those two together, which are all legitimate functions of the police power of the government under the zoning. Okay, and the other thing you can do is, but you're going to be asking for it, is if you want to have all of those things, rubber stamped at this board, and I'm afraid that you're going to open the floodgate. While you don't have a lot of things now, the idea is you're going to have a lot of things in the future as things develop with Houston County coming in and all that. So, you also have the power of appointment to the board. And if the people on the board are not doing what you want to do, then you can always, if you don't think they're doing what's in the best interest of the county, you can reappoint or not reappoint.
I trust the board, that's not.
Right.
That is not what I'm saying, that's not what I meant to say at the meeting if it came out like that.
No, I was not there. I'm not saying you said
But
that.
they are, if you have a set of rules, I just don't believe any group should be told or should be educated that we're going to use those rules, but apply exceptions to those rules. I mean, what other laws have so many exceptions that are made, and then I'm scared of a precedent. So whatever you do, setbacks or whatever on this property, it's an ag piece of property, and the houses were so far away. If I can cookie cutter that and take it anywhere else, I should know that they're going to do the same thing for me because they did it over here. And then it was said in the meeting that they look at our rules, but then they would call to have a conversation to see how to get around it. Well, I mean, when I look at a set of rules, I know I know yay or nay. You know, I know this property fits, this property doesn't fit, but they go put an offer and a contract on a piece of property, knowing what the rules are. You're over 50% making an exception to those rules, but they submit that particular parcel to the board for the variance.
And then so
What,
doing it,
what common sense person would ever put their money out there like that, knowing these are the rules, but they cut it back over half for this particular parcel? How do we get that far? How do you get that
I'm not
far?
suggesting this piece of it, but what you're suggesting, when you say they are calling to ask about how to get around the rules, you're talking about the applicant is calling the board.
The zoning administrator made the comment, well, anybody interested would call and have a discussion about how to go through the process of making an exception to the rules. Well, common business people don't look at exceptions to laws. You know what it is, this parcel fits, this doesn't fit for what I'm doing, or now I know, okay, well.
So the gatekeeper's opening the gate and swinging it
But now
open.
I could go look at the history and say, well, they made a variance to this, so now that's the new rule. I know they'll do this for me. So
De facto, the rule, not de jure is what the written rule is. De jure of law, de facto is what they did in practice.
I just want to see if they getting. I trust them. I trust the people on the board.
Well, if you read the minutes of the last meeting, I think they had 4 pieces of businesses and 3 of them were handled by variances. So you can't pick and choose how you're gonna use that tool. It's called a variance, I don't think. Every situation is different. And I believe, what was that you sent out? Was it their minutes of the last meeting?
Yes, sir.
I think 3 of the 4 items dealt with variance. And so, you can't just apply a variance of this type and then satisfy all these other folks because they ain't got road frontage and they ain't got what they need to have a driveway, la-di-da-di-da-di-da. You know, so, but I see what you're saying, from that standpoint, but those same people, when they ask for a variance, they're probably being told that, yeah, you can probably get this. I don't think they dreaming it up.
Right. So the commonality here is that the agenda is full of exceptions versus the rules. And
We need to rewrite the rule. I'm for you on the easements and things on other pieces of property. If we take something and we give it a variance on something 20 times, do we need to rewrite the rule?
if you're given the same thing over and over again and your de facto, like you're talking about, has now become what the rule is, then you're wasting everyone's time because you're going to rubber stamp it.
And we're costing them money.
And you're not exercising the
They're
discretionary
paying
function
for these
anymore.
things
Stretching out the
for the de
process.
facto. I mean, that's what I was telling the guy the other night, House of Rayford. Rewrite it to where, okay, it's so far from a house. Let's take property, have the property line, but let's say it's got to be 2,000 feet from a house. Write it, and that's the rule. The same with whatever these other variances, the easements and things like that. If we're wanting to come down, if we come down off that every time somebody pays, what is it, $100? Everybody pays $100 to go before this board to do it.
Okay.
Why would we change?
Let me make an observation in another field of law that's sort of like this. The people's court, we call it, the magistrate courts. And I'm not talking about here because this does not happen here, but it does happen some places I've been to practice. You have a judge who a lot of times not a lawyer, not required to be, and they're not allowed to practice law. That's clear. But they get in there and either they help out one side, the police on issuing warrants, or they help out the other side, the tenant versus the landlord. And then all of a sudden you have a problem because legal advice is being given in the process of just going through a governmental function. You go into the clerk's office over here, you go into Ms. Rooney Bowen's office over here, and the first thing you see is we give no legal advice. Okay, and they've been told by their associations to do that.
And and it's right, because they're not there to give you how to fill out the form or anything else. Here's the form. Okay, that's about what should be going on here. Here is the form, here is this. Okay, and if they want to come forward with that, but counseling them on how to get around every little aspect of it is not the role of the county. We are neutral in that. Okay, and so if the neutrality is being compromised at any part of the process, whether it be at the application level or even at the board level or even at this level, you know, if we'll pick on Mr. Robinson since he's not here. If Mr. Robinson were to say in a meeting, an open meeting, hey, Bert, meet with them after the meeting and tell them how they can get what they want. Now, how would that sit with you? Y'all would look at me and go, Bert, don't do that. Or I hope you'd know that I wouldn't do that, but you'd look at me and go, don't do that. Because that's not right. It's not right at the board below here, and it's not right in that office back there either. Because it doesn't give both citizens, it may give that citizen who's making the application an advantage over the people who are adjacent to it. And we're neutral.
Yeah, I don't mean to have an hour on it. I'm just asking to think about, I want it to be fair for current property owners, people applying for these, and then make it easier if we're okay with the variant, then let's just change the rules to where we don't have to have as many of the exceptions.
And just because, let me add this point, just because someone asks for a variance or an exception does not mean that it has to be granted. You know, there's sometimes when you're in the decision-making process, you know, and a lot of judges will do this, you know, as part of their function, is you ask for $1,000 of alimony and it's not an alimony case, and I'm over here saying it's not an alimony case, and they go, I'll just split the baby and give $500 alimony. I heard some lawyers talking about that happened in another circuit recently. You know, it's just like, oh my God, they just split the baby. They didn't really do anything. They just got it off their desk. So there's a tendency in human nature, if you ask for something, then you must grant it. No, you don't. Go back to the rule.
I think, Mr. Chairman, when like in a situation like this, those people trying to bring jobs to Dudley County. And that's where I look at more of a, you know, I know variances, you gotta have them because some situations, they were saying it take 300 acres to do what they want to do. How many tracts of 300 acres do we have in Dudley County? Not many, I don't think. So you gotta have a variance to, you know, especially when they're gonna bring jobs to Dudley County. And we got big old, not Tyson, but House of Rayford over there now. And they don't even have a chicken house in Dudley County.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we got to start somewhere. And I understand what they were saying about variance and stuff, but you got to have, so, especially when you're talking about bringing businesses in the community. Because people need jobs. That's when everybody leaving Dudley County. Ain't no job. So.
Yeah, I'd like to rewrite it. I'd like to rewrite it to where it was more appealing for them to get the acreage down to 75 acres, something like that. I'm good with. I want to rewrite it. I want to help them. I just want write the rules to where it's clear for everybody, including current property owners and House of Rayford.
But just take out House Rayford. What about the other variances and stuff? Like Eugene was saying.
The property setbacks. I mean, what are we're going down to 10 feet, and let's change the rule to 10 feet.
I think probably if I had to guess, the most often issued variance is out in the county, you want to build a house, you got to have 150 foot of road frontage. And a lot of times folks don't have 150 road frontage. They want to reduce it down. Hey, just give me a 30 foot driveway to get back to my property. And to my knowledge, every variance request that's been requested has been approved by the planning commission down to a 30 foot, to nothing less than a 30 foot road frontage.
When there's an easement on the front property, you
Right.
get an easement off the front property.
No, you actually own a 30-foot driveway from where,
Oh.
you may be building a house behind it, you probably may be way off the road, but you're gonna own a 30-foot driveway to get you to that road
Okay. Versus having an easement.
versus having it even, because that can get complicated down the road.
Yes, it can.
So that's sort of where the planning commission appears to have drawn the line. You got to at least own your driveway, and it's got to be at least 30 foot wide. And we picked 30 foot because you got to have that for a fire truck to be able to reasonably get down it, an ambulance to reasonably get down it.
And I think you bring a point. That's something through experience in our county. One size on zoning ordinances do not fit every county. Okay. And so that's one, if that's continued to happen, then that's when Mr. Mixon, if he wants to do a comprehensive zoning or just address the issues that need to be addressed.
Well, we're saying, everybody acknowledges we need to totally update our zoning ordinance. But we need to decide what we want it to look like before we start the process. To me,
Well, we need to have a list of the top 10 or the top or the dirty dozen of things that keep coming up and submit it to who's drafting it and saying, these are what this is what we've been doing. What do you recommend? And then let's consider if their recommendation gives an idea we hadn't thought about, and if not, we go with what we've been doing. But let's get that into discussion. Let's get out there what those things are.
because just like the 150 foot road frontage requirement, it's going to get approved when you progress to 30 foot reduction, but it delays the process. It costs me $100 to request a variance, and the county's not making any money off that $100 because we got to advertise the variance request in the newspaper, and that eats up most of the $100 that the person's paying right now. So I mean, it's just delaying the process and costing our citizens extra money that, in my opinion, really just shouldn't be costing them. But that's the way the rules currently are.
But this is a new process for us, right? The chicken house.
Yeah, now chicken houses, this is all. Yeah, so.
I've been sitting and listening, but I guess it's hard you can have a game plan, and when the game starts, you might have to change it up.
Now, it's my understanding, like I said, I wasn't at the meeting. I was sick. I wasn't able to be at the meeting, but my understanding, the planning commission is going to talk about this again at their next planning commission meeting and come back and supposedly out of that meeting come with some recommendations to the board of commissioners.
It's an ongoing process. I think we're gonna learn from what's going on now. Then we can talk, put some rules out there, but nothing, the way I see it, need to be set in stone because it just depends on the situation. We just don't know what's what. But I would want to limit myself to not bring a business to the county because we got things there, that'll keep us from attracting business. I think we need to just see what they're gonna come up with, the thing the zoning board, and so we all working on it. We doing the right thing by talking about it. Yeah, and see what come afterward, instead of then make a rash decision right now.
And on the business side, I'd like to rewrite it to reduce it. So, I mean, how many times has somebody looked at the rule and not even called to see if they could get a variance, to see if they could get a variance? What if they just looked at it and said, oh, God, I'm out of this. I'm not even going to try. It's so far off. I mean, what if we write it to encourage more? Yeah.
Ready to move on? Okay.
What's the next pleasant topic on the agenda, sir?
Next pleasant topic is delinquent garbage fees. Gotten with Lynn and Chris at Public Works, and the letters will go out by the end of this month to the delinquent taxpayer, the people with delinquent garbage fees. And just remind everybody, up until December 31st of 2024, the county did the garbage billing and collecting the money. We ceased doing the billing in January 1 of 2025. Waste Management started billing for garbage services beginning January 1 of 2025. We're still responsible for collecting all the garbage fees that were due as of December 31st, 2024. And we discussed it last meeting, looked at the list of delinquents, and y'all agreed to go ahead and proceed. Everything over $200, we're sending another letter to those individuals, giving them 60 days to get that paid, or basically we turn it over for collections. And if it gets turned over to collections, that's going to be adding another $200 something to their bill. Well, evidently word has already got around. We done collected a couple $1,000 since that meeting.
Nobody want to pay extra. I think they just be pushing the envelope to see how much they can get.
Well, you know, some folks just like to see how far they can push that line. So anyway, so
Could we get a copy of the letter?
yes, sir. Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I made 3 phone calls, or text messages started during this meeting last week, and 2 of them, I'm told, paid. The other one was the wrong person, it was their dad. So I think it totaled a little over $1,200. So, and all I did was, when I got them on the phone, is I said, hey, I was sitting in the meeting and they're about to add $250 to your bill, and you may not know what's out there. I was nice about it. And they, I said, well, call. And you know what? That's all you had to do.
I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Talk to people.
That's helpful.
Okay, item number 8. There seems to be a growing momentum in the legislature up there in Atlanta. They're still pushing this, trying to provide property tax relief to homestead property. And eventually, right now, as I understand it, they're proposing to phase out property taxes on homesteaded property over a 6-year period. If the legislature is going to have to come up with a proposal to then put it on a ballot for a constitutional amendment for the voters to approve. So, but I sat in on one of the committee meetings where they had a sort of public hearing and sort of learned a little bit where the legislature is coming from. They're saying they're aware that that's going to cut revenue to counties, cities, and schools when you don't remove homesteaded property from the property tax rolls. But they're saying we're giving you other ways to fill in that gap. One may be a potential sales tax, and then other fees that you could possibly levy. And they're saying, look at a $250,000 house in your community and a $2.5 million house in your community. That $2.5 million house is going to generate approximately 10 times more property tax than what $250,000 house is going to generate. And they say, all right, does that $2.5 million house require 10 times the services provided by the government that a $250,000 house does? And I think, no, it doesn't.
Everybody gonna get the same.
So that's why they're saying they want to try to get it more equitable or fair or whatever. But anyway, so.
Is it an election year?
That's all.
It might be, Bert. I don't think that has anything to do with it now. So
I think the formulas work in places like Cobb County, maybe Forsyth County, and places like that, but I don't think they work.
and just so Derek ran, I asked him, Mark, if we were to remove property taxes off of homestead property in Dooley County, what would be the impact on our property tax revenue? Not City of Vinyl, not school board, our impact. And he said it'd be $1.5 billion.
$1.5 million.
Million or billion?
1.5 million.
I didn't think so. All right, million. Where are we living? So $1.5 million. Now, what mills would we get on a sales tax of not mills, what would we get on a 1% sales tax?
Roughly that. In that ballpark, you know.
Would that be the whole thing that we got to share with the other cities, or would
But
that
see,
be?
then how's the city gonna get, how the city's gonna get made whole? How's the school board gonna get made whole?
Right.
They'd have to implement their own sales, but they're not gonna be given the power to implement it.
They haven't worked out all those details yet. So. Anyway, we need to keep our eyes open. I think there's a good chance something may get put on the ballot. And I'm scared if it gets put on the ballot, the citizens will approve it, because as citizens, Steve Sanders would love not to have to pay property taxes on my homestead. But then what other fees are I'm gonna get hit with for the county to make up the lost revenue? So, anyway.
You're gonna get taxed one way or the other.
Yeah,
I think a little different. I think if God's been good to you, you got to pay more. That's just part of it.
All right, it's 9:30. We advertised for a public hearing for the proposed abandonment of Groves Landing Road. And just to remind everybody where exactly Groves Landing Road is. This is Highway 27 going to Americus. This is the Flint River. Going to Americus, you can turn off onto Highway 230. And then 230, 230 goes to the right, the Byronville. River Road goes to the left to Montezuma. This is Groves Landing. A dead end road off of River Road there. So that's where we're talking about. This is River Road. This is Groves Landing. There's 3 parcels, 3 different landowners own property on this proposed section of road. There's a parcel 7.6, parcel 812 and 812A. So we're here to have a public hearing. So I will officially open the public hearing. Okay. At 9:33. Is anyone here to speak in favor of the proposed abandonment? All right, if you would, come on up and have a seat. State your name and well, I got the switch right here, but anyway.
Wire.
This is a trap door.
I got you. Hey, appreciate y'all having this meeting today and consider this request. John Averill, I own a lot of the property that this road goes through. Been wanting to close this for several years. The other parties on the road in the past have had some reservations. A couple of 3 weeks ago, 2 of them came to us and asked if we were still willing to close the road. They've been having a lot of problems down there. And I don't want to speak for them, they're not here, but what they told me, people going down there, cutting down trees, burning trash, burning fire, building fires, fishing, camping out, and making a mess of the place. Now, I've had problems over the years, people trespassing, dumping trash in the road, poaching. One of my buddies is here. He's had people walk up on him, parked on the road and just walked in the woods, thinking they're somewhere else or whatever the reason is. Just had a lot of trouble over the years. The boat landing is not open to the public. So basically we've got a
It's
county
owned
main.
by you or the neighbors.
It's owned by the neighbors. So basically we've got a private drive. It's serviced by the county, and we would like you guys to consider abandoning the road.
Who are the other landowners?
Susie Burnham, she was Grantham, Arthur Murray, and Pam Crutchfield.
So the 2 other tracks, but 3 owners, or 3 tracks?
I'm not sure how that's laid out. Pam, I think, has one section, and I don't know if it's a trust or a state
Okay.
for the other section of the road, the cabin.
According to Q Public, All right. The land, the parcel Mr. Abrams talking about is 7.6, and that's Grove Landing Plantation LLC. And 812 is Suzette Grantham and others.
Yeah, that should be on the south side of that road.
And then on the north side, Pamela Burnham, Crutchfield.
And you're stating in favor of this, that you have parcel 7.6,
Yes,
and you have the authority on behalf of Groves Landing LLC,
yes.
and you're asking for that to be done. And you have talked to both of the adjacent property owners that are listed, and they're asking you to express that here today.
In fact, I talked with Arthur yesterday, Arthur Murray, the grandson on the at L part. And he said, I asked if they were coming. He said, no, they had no opposition, so they saw no reason to be here. Because I'm not trying to speak on behalf of somebody else. I'm just repeating what I was told.
Okay, all right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Any questions? I mean,
Nope.
we're good. All right, thank you.
Any questions, Tim?
No, no more than I had some people to call me about the road.
Okay, all right. All right. Is anybody else here to speak in favor of the proposed abandonment? Now's the time to, I'm sorry, come on up, sir, Lisa. Would state your name.
Dean Woodruff. I have no vested interest in any ownership of property there. I am fortunate enough to be able to hunt down there, fish down there. My concern is safety. I've had on more than one occasion that night I would be hunting and I would hear vehicles down the road, and then a few minutes later hear firing a rifle or something and then driving off. And I'm not the only one that hunts there. There are some other guys that have children that they bring in there. So that, and then at times you hear people at the boat ramp late in the evening just firing off round after round. I don't know if they're practicing or shooting turtles or what, but safety is my only concern. I have no other vested interest in the property. And not only safety for myself, but anyone else that's down there that has permission to be down there. And that's really all I have to say.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else to speak in favor of the proposed abandonment? All right, hearing none, is there anybody here to speak in opposition to the proposed abandonment?
Let me answer this question. People that called me, they was in opposition. The simple reason is that, they do ride down there whenever there's on this end. And there used to be the landowners down there. And it sort of bring back memories when they do come. And occasionally I do ride down there myself. Just because of the memories I had as a kid growing up on that road there, before any of these people owned any of that land. And they figure now if the road get closed, they won't have that asset to get down there, just to see, and how it used to be. And that was the opposition. That was, matter of fact, one of the guys just called me 2 days ago about it in that area right there. That's what I got.
Are there any other comments for the public hearing? All I can say is no one has contacted me to make comments either way, so I don't have any comments to pass along to the board. All right, hearing no further comments, we'll close the public hearing. It's my understanding now, the law says that once we hold the public hearing, that if the county commissioners determine that this road has ceased to be used by the public to the extent that no substantial public purpose is served by it, the county commissioners may declare this section of county road system abandoned, and thereafter this section of road shall no longer be part of the county road system, and the rights of the public in and to this section of road as a public road shall cease. So, Mr. Chairman, that's where we at.
I saw the loss on this one because it's in my district.
Mention this, I may be wrong, but I just thought of a situation that's maybe similar there, but, Peters Bluff. Isn't that a private road? You go to Peters Bluff?
It's now a county
It's not a
zone.
county road, so, those folks have the privacy of their property. You know, there's appeal to water, and there's appeal to being in places where there's no lights and nobody. And I used to spend a lot more time up there in that area, and I got to see firsthand the trash problems that people will leave on you. And there's no one to monitor that property. I was able to be a part of a group that did youth duck hunts and things of that nature, you know. But the appeal of going to the water is there. There's no doubt about it, but, you know, I see no purpose of it. I mean, if I was a landowner, I know what I'd have done before now. I'd have put that gate up and that would stop that, you know, and so that can be done. You know,
You talking about down there, because I ride down there. I had all the stuff this thing, and I hadn't seen all that stuff. And I went down there not too long ago. They had like
well, it's a
I
dock.
mean, they probably had cleaned it up,
A dock is there.
yeah,
So the appeal
I
is
rode down there. I didn't, to be honest, I didn't, all this other stuff I didn't see, you know, like maybe creating a private drive, yeah. And, I just, personally speaking, I just couldn't see it. That road being there forever and a day.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask Mr. Averill a question?
Yeah.
How will the Burnhams have access to River Road?
My oldest son, John and Arthur, right now working for Eagle to access the property.
So they'll have a permanent access just in case the property changes hands.
Yes. And what they, John, my oldest, and Arthur, the grandson, is part of the property on the south side. They're working now, getting the language and all, where we get an easement for them ingress, you know, coming in and out.
Okay.
That it?
That answers my question. Thank you, John.
The map back up, where the road,
Well, let me go into Q Public and pull it up there.
I just want to see where you're saying the road ends down there.
Oh, I just,
At the real,
right before you get to the actual boat landing.
And the boat landing was closed. Or was it ever a public boat landing?
It never was a public boat
Right.
landing.
I mean, well, how do people turn around down there?
It's been a while since I've been down there, so I don't know. I'm assuming that, how would somebody currently turn around if they drive down thinking it may be,
There's a wide open area down there.
It is.
So they're on the properties on either side turning around.
They will be told that to turn around, yes.
Most of this being a dirt road, there's never been right of way,
no,
never been right of way.
as with probably 95% of the dirt roads in the county, there's never been a right-of-way deed issued to the county for them. They just evolved from old horse and buggy trails. And somewhere along in the, if I'm not mistaken, the late 70s, I believe the state legislature proclaimed, or however they did it, they said, whatever roads for county road, whatever county roads you're currently maintaining, you have the right to continue to maintain those as public roads from this point forward. You can't widen them, but you can continue to maintain basically from the bottom of the ditch to the bottom of the ditch of what you're currently maintaining as a public road.
So then the ditch started moving.
Can I ask, what does the motor grader do on that property? How far do they go?
I'm assuming they go all the way to those there's two cabins, or is there one or two cabins back there?
Technically, it's two, but one of them just don't like follow in.
Basically just one cabin, but
Two trucks.
they go down to those structures, basically, and then find a way to turn around.
Mr. Chairman, we can have the discussion and the discussion part, but since the road no longer serves a public interest and turning around down there would be on private property, I make a motion that the county abandon Groves Landing Road.
Okay, that was your motion, right?
My motion.
Okay, now tell me about, okay, explain what you just said about public use.
There's a,
How many people does that?
I'm making a motion that the road no longer serves public,
A substantial
a
public
substantial
purpose.
public purpose, and any turning around down on that road is trespassing. I make a motion that the county abandon Groves Landing Road.
I'll second the motion.
All right, the motion is second, I guess it's discussion time now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So. I turned my truck down around now. And I gotta do it. And I went in no ditch. You know. You all can vote, it's in my district, true, so you can vote and close it if you want, but that's fine with me. But I'm not in favor of it. I'm just not in favor of closing it. You know, that's just my opinion, but I'm only one of the vote, one of the 4 votes that's here today. And, well, I can't even vote, but it's left up to you all. All right. Cause I ain't gonna change my mind. It's that kind of person. I can't see the reason why. I just can't see it. It's been there forever and a day. And so now all of a sudden, we wanna get close. So, you know, you do what you please. You know, it's a team effort, ain't no I. So now, I gave my discussion part of it. Okay, all in favor, okay.
Was that you, Ms. Dan?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask the board to consider if you guys are gonna make a motion, to make it contingent on the easement to protect the other land owners, the approval of the easement that he said he's working on.
Okay, Tony?
I mean, it ain't my district either, but I done had some roads close to my district that I didn't want closed, but they closed them anyway. When the landowners disagree to do it, you know, I just don't see no problem with it. The landowners.
I'm gonna respect the wishes of everybody here. You know, we have closed some in my district in the past, you know, but hey, everybody got their own personal opinion. And you do what you deem necessary. So, but now
Do we need to change what Ms. Dan put in there?
I'd like to amend my
Well,
motion.
Okay.
Respectfully, this is it's not a bad idea if we weren't under this particular statutory scheme. Okay, I think we need to follow the statutory scheme specifically and abandon it like the motion says. There is a remedy for the landowners. If you don't go through what you're saying, they will have an easement by, I would argue, if I were their lawyer, I would argue they have an easement by prescription because they have been traveling through that road and relying on it all these years. And so there's an argument they already have one since this is taken away from them. I think it's a great idea, except in this context, I don't want to muddy the water if there were an appeal. I think it's a separate issue. So ideally, in the future, you can't require them to do that, but if they already presented that, that would have been better. So that's my 2 cents, is I think that they're going to be able to go and come regardless, and if they try to stop them, then they're going to have a lawsuit.
Well, let me, okay, I was just sitting thinking about it, when that guy tried to abandon that, close that road out near Poplar Springs. Okay, now, how did we come up to that decision to keep that road open when the person that came here and said that they do travel that road from time to time?
What
Right,
road?
about Leary, over there, Leary, though, when they said 4-wheelers and all that stuff was, on the road, and that guy wanted to close that road.
Okay, in that case, okay,
Close part of it, didn't
well, the request was to close part of it, but Mr. Leary, who owned land on Leary Road, not the section that was being proposed to be closed, but that landowner objected to the closing of it, so I'm assuming that was y'all's reasoning for not voting to close that road, is you had a landowner next to it opposing it.
You didn't have uniformity or unanimity on that. You had split.
Do we have any other discussion on it before we vote on it? All in favor by the show of hands? Okay, that motion carries.
So the next step, we'll send another letter out to all the landowners, letting them know of the action taken today, and that as of today, that section of road will no longer be part of the county road system, and the rights to the public in and to that section of road is no longer shall cease. And folks typically say, all right, well, they want to know where the, not in this case, but like if you owned one side and Mr. Woodruff owned the other side and the road got closed, typically folks come and say, all right, where's the property line at? We ain't getting involved in that. We're saying that's no longer be a county maintained road. The property line is where the property line's always been, wherever that's at. But in this case, it's not going to be an issue because you own both sides of the road. But anyway, the next step, we will send out a letter letting y'all know what action was taken today. Okay. All right, let's get back to the agenda. Oops, yeah, item number 9. Okay, if you remember back in 2015, the county borrowed some money or sold bonds. It was a series 2015 bond, and it wound up being 2 different bond issues, a 2015A and a 2015B. And let's go this. The 2015A bonds, basically we used the proceeds of that, it was $2.5 million to refinance the jail bonds. We got a better interest rate and supposedly saved money through the deal. Then the 2015B bond issue was $2.3 million, and that was basically new money for improvements to the courthouse and some various other building improvements throughout the county. So, and we make principal payments on the bonds are due March the 1st, along with an interest to date payment, and then 6 months later, September 1, we always make an interest only payment. So now the payment due, there's a payment due for the 2015A bonds. It's a principal payment of $260,000 and an interest payment of $48,000 for a total of $308,000. And since this is paying off the jail bond issue, these payments are eligible to be made out of SPLOST jail funds. So once we make this payment, the outstanding principal balance will be $2,325,000, with the next principal payment being due not next year, but 2 years from now in the amount of $300,000. And we can make this payment we still have a little bit, we have $197,000 left in the old SPOS jail account, the 2019 to 2024 SPOS. And that will close out that checking account. And then we make the remainder of this payment out of the new SPOS jail funds. And that'll leave $38,000 in that checking account.
How long do we have on this?
Okay. We're just now making the first principal payment on the 2015A. We've been making principal payments on the 2015B. However, we're not making next year. Like I said, next year we won't be making another payment on the A. We'll go down here and pay off the B next year. Then in 2028, we'll be back making principal payments on the 2015A till they get paid off. But the B will be paid off after next year's payment.
Last year's payment came out of the general fund.
No, we've been able to make all of the A payments out of SPOS.
But we didn't make an A last year, we made a B, the principal payment. 270 down at the bottom.
That's right, I'm sorry. You're right. We've been making all the interest payments
Out of jail.
out of SPOS for the jail. But this is the first principal payment we've had to make on the jail part of it.
But last year, we had to use general fund money to make that 270 number, right?
Yeah, well, these payments have to come out of general fund. They don't qualify. We'll back up. They didn't qualify for any of the previous SPOS money. But in the new SPOS, we have an existing debt portion that can be used to make these payments.
The legislature changed the SPOS law.
Well, no, we just, when we did the new SPOS, we added another project list for existing debt. That's always been an option. We just never have listed that. We never have used any of our SPOS money for that specific category in the past.
Got it.
We had needs for it elsewhere. But we saw the need, with us starting to have to make these jail bond payments, we saw the need for some additional SPOS to be taken to use for that.
Got it.
Or any other existing debt issues that we may have.
So what will we owe after next year? We'll have paid off the
The top part, no, the bottom part's going away after next year.
And so we will owe how much?
Well, we'll owe 2.3 million, whatever, 200, we're going to pay $260,000 off of, we're going to reduce this 2.5 million by $260,000.
So 225,
So
or 2,225,000.
$2,325,000 will be the principal due after this payment is made. This is just really for informational purposes. We got no choice but to pay them.
Did we do that did we take this into consideration in the budget?
Yes.
In the general, of not having to take it out of the general this year?
Yes. So, anyway, then item 10 was to talk about the B bond, but like I said,
I might give a little history on that. This was done. I don't know if you were here, Bert. This was done when we lost federal inmates. And you know, 1.2 or 1.4 million dollars stuck down the revenue side of things.
I think Mr. Neesmith was here and was working on this and had just about finished it up in 2014. And he got to working for the state bar about that time, and I started doing this, and then he continued to serve to finish this project out into 15.
all right, next item. Judge Christopher Hughes is attempting to schedule a meeting to discuss the Cordell Judicial Circuit Public Defender Office Judge Hughes is the Chief Superior Court Judge for the Cordell Judicial Circuit, which is Dooley, Chris, Wilcox, and Ben Hill counties. He's tentatively selected next Friday at 10 a.m. at the Chris County Courthouse for the meeting. I've not got a confirmation of that, but that's the tentative date and time. And he's inviting representatives from the Georgia Public Defender Council, all 4 county commissioners, and the public defender's office for this circuit. I think the main topic of discussion is the backlog of cases currently in Superior Court. And wanting folks to discuss possible solutions, which probably is going to require money.
If I may, he has sent a letter to, I guess, the head of that council and or the governor.
What time was that? 10?
This executive director of the Georgia Public Defender Council, whoever that is.
I don't want to speak out of turn, but that may be one of the people who was involved in, is it?
I don't know.
In the NP State litigation that I inherited back in 14, which was the, where for the 3rd time this judicial circuit had been sued about this issue. And the resolution of that we fashioned from Dooley County for everybody was to find out exactly what they needed. And what they needed was 1 investigator and 2 lawyers. And we found out through Gene Rogers helping me with it, we figured out that because of the interstate, we were putting in like $1 million more than anybody else. And we could fund all that and then they still had money left over. So the argument went to the governor, then the attorney general fought us, and we had former Attorney General Bowers representing our judges, and so he was doing the political of it. It took 6 months from the solution that was written on the back of a napkin to get implemented, and then that was for a 3-year period. And that was whatever it was that he listed down here. It was like 2 lawyers and an investigator, or 1 lawyer and 2 investigators. But the state would pay for 1, which they've never done before, because it's always a county obligation, and we would do it, and we would do it for a certain period of time. Okay, and we got pushback from the then judges and DA because they didn't want us. They approached me and said, "Why are you helping out the public defender's office?" I'm like, "Well, we're trying to end a lawsuit, you know." And at that time, the DA's office was staffed 7 to 3, 7 lawyers to 3 lawyers, and the majority of the cases that go to were like, you know, being handled by 3 lawyers against 7 lawyers. And so the states outside of the circuit saw it, and they said, well, we'll give them 5 to 7. And then with the notion that they were about to get an 8th one in the DA's office, not taking sides on this, just saying public perception. And there was a limit for how long that would last, like 3 years, maybe. It had a sunset. But before the sunset came up, the director, the lady, can't call her name, she came in here and she did not ask us to refund, to fund it again. She just didn't ask for the budget. And so we didn't have to do it. Or we did, or whatever. They let it drop. And we didn't continue funding it. So imagine he's thinking, because he's quoted it, that he's going to come back and ask the counties to fund a position, at least, and like we did before. And the problem with that is, actually, there's a percentage of what's the percentage goes of how we fund it? It's the same as we do for the Superior Court judges. It's something.
I don't know if it's based on population or caseload. I don't remember which one it was.
But the percentage from when we did that has now gone down for Dooley County because the census went down, and that's a part of the calculus. So we'll save a little bit because of that. But that's what I think this is going toward.
Where's the meeting?
In the Cordell, at the Chris County Courthouse. Now, I don't think all county commissioners are expected to be here at this meeting. Y'all are welcome to come, but are you planning to be there?
I wasn't until I saw this, and if y'all won't be there, I can make arrangements to be there. I think it would be helpful.
I feel like he needs to be there. I plan to be there, and if Danny can be there, she'll be there. And then y'all are welcome to come, but I don't feel like you got to be there. I don't expect all the other county commissioners to be there, but that's just my speaking.
I just think that the issues are setting. If this lady was this lady, I think, I may be wrong, but I think she was in the Southern Center, or I know the name for somewhere way back when, and now she's the director of this, and he's talking about that prior lawsuit. So I don't want to make, we don't want another lawsuit.
Anyway, I'll keep y'all informed. Like I said, the last correspondence I got from Judge Hughes was this was a tentative date. I'm assuming he once confirms it, he'll send out another notice. And I'll seek to confirm that up before next Friday. So I'll keep y'all informed on that. Item number 12 is an update on the county branding project by the University of Georgia. This is a EDC project that Scotty Mashman's been working on for the last couple of years. Representatives from UGA are scheduled to be at the EDC conference room at 12 noon on Thursday, March the 12th. That's not a board meeting day. It's in between our board meetings in March, but that's the first day that she could come. And it'll be March the 12th, and lunch will be provided.
See you there, Mr. Tony.
What's the 12th?
Yeah. The next meeting of the planning commission is scheduled for Monday, March the 9th at 5:30. And on their agenda, basically 3 items. One's a variance of the 150-foot road frontage requirement. One's a variance wanting to allow another 30-foot road, a variance of the 150-foot road frontage. Item number 3 is a variance to allow a second mobile home to be placed on a piece of property out of an open cemetery. We'll have another meeting before then, and I'll get more details about each one of these. I thought Glenn was going to be here to speak to them, but he's out doing some inspections. So, and then the only other item they'll be talking about the agricultural confinement buildings with chicken housing setbacks and the fees associated with those. So. Oops.
On the fees, did they pay the building inspection fee? Or didn't we say if they got that, we would move forward with 21,000?
35.
No, 21,000 on the
River Valley proposal. Well, but here again, we shouldn't, I don't think we need to expect River Valley to come in here and update our ordinance when we don't know what the end product we want.
Oh, they don't go through asking questions.
Oh, they're gonna go through, but I think we need to answer some of these questions that we know we have right now. We need to get more consensus amongst ourselves before we start in my opinion, bringing them in.
Before we go through the exploratory process, we need to give them a list of things that we already know are identified, so we don't lose sight of it from the forest and the trees.
That's sort of my thought process.
I was asked about the money, but that was what we said. If they pay that,
So do we have the fee money yet is what the question is, right?
I don't know. Okay. So that doesn't come directly through me. That goes through Glenn.
Okay.
Back around. Eventually winds up with us, but
Yeah.
it didn't happen in January. I can't say if it's happened in February or not yet. Okay, some of the items I added, the ACCG sent out a notice that evidently the Georgia Division of Family and Children Services is currently experiencing a severe budget deficit, which is impacting the DFACS funded services that the state provides. And ACCG is just concerned that the state may start trying to shift some of these costs to counties. They're saying
The
this,
state has a surplus.
that's
How are
mine.
May I ask a question? And that is, there's two sides of the house on DFAX. There is TANF for aid to family and children and all that. There's that part, and there's also, foster care and abuse investigation. Which side are they surplus? Are they asking us to start paying on the food stamps, or are they asking us to pay on the other side, or both?
ACG saying that DFAX may be attempting to push counties to absorb costs historically funded through the state and federal government for child welfare services. DFAX has a severe budget deficit, which is impacting DFAX funding services, mainly out of home care, i.e. foster care services, and DFAX case-related costs, transporting foster kids to court, family visitation, required appointments, etc. Many of these services have been suspended due to this deficit, and juvenile courts have been instructed by DFAX that courts certify these child welfare costs to counties per OCGA, blah, blah, blah.
So they're not
So they're
taking
not
kids out of bad homes because of the deficit.
To answer my question and then to get to yours, the first part of this is they're not asking us to pay for food stamps. That's the other side of the house. They're asking us to pay for the other side of it. That's the start of it.
ACCG is concerned that may be coming.
Right. Well, previously, before the state got on all this, the DFAX board was like your school board, and it took care of these issues. Okay, and then that now has less and less power over time. And so now that they're taking all the power away and funding it, now they want to kind of give it back. That's what it sounds like. So foster care, what they've been doing is try to put it with family members, but pay them. Okay, and then transporting foster kids to court. If you took my child and gave it to Steve and his wife, or my child over there, and Steve's my cousin, Steve could bring the child to court and not charge, right, when there's an issue. But there's going to be another vendor that gets paid to go and take that one child 5 counties over to court. Okay, and so that's what they're asking us to pay for, that kind of. That's what they're trying to cut out, some of that duplication is what it sounds like to me. But they're not that specific. I'm just letting you know that you may not have known that when they pay to get the kids to court from the foster parents don't have the obligation to do that. They'll pay someone to drive from Vienna to Albany to pick up someone to take someone to the doctor in Albany and then come back. That's the kind of stuff they're talking about.
Now, the Dooley County DFAX office, we do have a budget for the DFAX. It's a very small budget. And can I borrow your finance report for just a second? Let me get to it in the financial report. DFAX, if you want to look at it, page 50. Hold on, I'll pull it up on the screen right quick.
We historically
Like
fail all this.
in the current fiscal year, we have a total budget of $27,000 for the DFAX office. Board member reimbursement. I'm assuming the board members get a small amount for attending board meetings.
$25, $35.
We budgeted $600 for child welfare. That's at the discretion of the local board. Electricity for the office, garbage fee, general assistance that's approved by the local board. Miscellaneous. That's the local board. They can spend this 600. The board member. Hold on a second. The local board of DFAX. They spend that. They have the authority to spend that. General assistance. They have the authority to spend. That. And those are the items that the local defects board has the authority to. And they'll send the local defects board, the chairman sends a report every month of what they're requesting us to reimburse them for out of those items. And that's the funds that they have discretion to spend from us. So not a whole lot of money.
$11,500.
Not a whole lot of money in the scheme of things.
Electricity, that was where we just moved it. We put it in this budget for whatever that building was.
What that building
costing us.
Because, all right, we're getting, the county owns that building. The state is paying us rent for that building. So the rent is to cover all costs associated with that building. So that's why we're paying out of that, the rent that the state pays us, we put into a separate checking account. We call it DFAX rent checking account. And that's the money that we hold to pay for expenses related to that building. So, and currently, DFAX rent, that checking account currently has $100,000 in it.
So once that's gone, we're eating the.
Well, we get a check from the state each month, so we're not spending. We're getting more rent than what we're spending right now. Now, a new roof or new carpeting or something like that could take a chunk out of all of that at some point.
Right. And if I may, aren't there some discussions about closing some DFAX offices that I've heard about, combining some of the counties?
There seems to be an issue with keeping a director at the Dooley County DFAX office.
Well, it's a shared directorship between Dooley and Chris.
And it seems to be a rotating door.
And one of the issues that I'm aware of is that they're trying to close, that after the pandemic, when people could work from home, they're not reporting in, and they have a vacancy in that office, and they're back to the circuit public defender. There's also something called the conflict public defender, a guy named Matt Maxwell. He's got another attorney and investigator, and they have office space in there that the state leases to them. So, and I'm sure you don't separate out the water and the garbage and all that. So all this is, the state's already recognizing they have vacancy in that building, is what I'm saying.
And yes, our lease with the state is with the State Properties Commission, like that. And then they have the right to sublease to whatever state agency they want to out there.
Equivalent to the General Services Administration of the federal government.
It's not, no, originally, yeah, it was DFAX, and that's all it was when it first got built 20-something years ago. But now it has evolved over the years. So anyway, right now, I'm just saying, right now, we're not spending a whole lot of money on DFAX, but ACCG is just wanting us to be aware that could potentially be changing in the future.
So instead of making a little bit of money, we're going to be spending a lot more money, possibly.
Not that the state would ever send down any unfunded mandates or anything like that. But
never.
Okay. All right. So that's just for informational purposes. Next item, the ACCG annual conference this year is scheduled in Savannah for April 23rd through 26th. And Miss Linda's going to need to know if you all expect anybody that plans to go should be the one to make your reservations. So y'all let her know.
I assume that, are you going to go and get I've been here 1,000 years award? Or?
No.
But
no.
Ms. Jefferson.
Hopefully there will be at least one county commissioner go, and I would like, if you could, I think it would be good for you to go as well. So we'll wait and see. Is anybody planning on going?
I would like to, but I wouldn't in my calendar, I got a conflict.
Is that
Does it
Thursday?
start on the 23rd?
Starts on the 23rd.
Okay.
There's classes on the 23rd.
All right.
Is
The
it
23rd.
We got the agenda
Thursday and
here.
Saturday. Classes Thursday and Saturday.
Okay.
I've registered to attend also.
Okay, so you're going.
Yes.
Okay. Well, and if you can go, I think it'd be good for you to go. Where's the tentative agenda? On Thursday, that's for clerks, that's a lifelong learning for clerks. That's the county managers meeting. Like the first thing for commissioners may be at lunch.
You got that data center at 1:45.
That, in a
That's
data
those-
center
that's kind of
session.
Those little pop-up special meetings, it's not a 6 hour.
Is that lunch? You're saying lunch Thursday?
I'm
But then
assuming.
there is a class where 8 a.m. to 4.
It's county managers.
No, over on the, oh, it's Saturday. I'm sorry, I'm looking at Saturday. Go back up, Steve.
That's a good one for her. Was Jefferson.
I can go Thursday and Friday, I think.
Well, just let Linda know if you plan to go. And I'll share this with you and you can get the schedule.
Did I send you
We'll talk about it.
that? You did. I sent it to her.
Okay, good deal. Because actually, and yesterday I got an email, Forest County managers, they're planning an all-day thing for county managers that can go that Thursday. So I just got this yesterday. I don't think you probably didn't get this, Lynn. I think they just sent this out to county administrators. So I'll forward that to you. So anyway, anybody interested? Linda's the only one that can make reservations, so talk to her.
And let them know.
And you probably need to hurry up and start making reservations because the motels go fast. I think yesterday was the first day it was open and I saw a bunch of folks complaining that I think the system got overwhelmed and it was,
It froze up. Yes. Everybody at 9 o'clock, everybody was jamming right in there.
let Miss Linda know. Item number 17, Dooley County has been approved for a $26 grant to assist with the required update of our multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan to stay in compliance with federal requirements for the Disaster Mitigation Act. Short version is this is a plan we have to update periodically. If we fail to update it, we could potentially miss out on federal emergency, in any federally declared emergency situations, we could miss out on FEMA money to help our citizens. So, yes, and Don Wilford's already in contact with GEMA. We're going to get River Valley Regional Commission is actually, they've always administered the grant and did the update work, but it's going to require a lot of public meetings and the commissioner's going to need to be involved in the process. So we'll keep you informed as that happens. Most county department heads have a county credit card. I definitely think Miss Danny needs one. Y'all have to authorize her to have one. So I'd like to request authority for her to get a county credit card.
You said a limit or?
They're all set at $5,000 limit.
And she will need one by the time of the meeting.
It would definitely come in handy for meetings and outside county travel. So
I said,
If there's motion and second, do we have any discussion on it before we vote? If not, all in favor, by the show of hands. Motion carries.
the only other thing I'd like to request, hopefully a brief executive session, talk about personnel matter and update on litigation. You're welcome to stick around, Tim. But I will definitely let you know if any action is taken.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Major,
See. Daryl. Let me give you some.
I need to give that to you earlier. So was there a motion to go in executive
I
session?
make a motion, we go into executive session for personnel and pending litigation.
I second, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, there's a motion and second. All in favor by the show of hands? Motion carries.
Turn the recording off. Got
We'll talk.
This conference will now be recorded.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes of executive session as read in executive session.
I second the motion.
There has been motion and second. Do we have any discussion or anything else before we vote on that part? If not, all in favor by the show of hands? Okay, that motion carries. All right.
Do we have anything else?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
Good.
There's been motion and second. All in favor, please stand up and